Hello, hello, hello. It's Stephanie here. Welcome to episode 102 of the Rent to Rent Success podcast. We've got a rock star in the house today. It's Abby Oniru, and she's got an amazing story of rent to rent success. She's just 25 years old. She had her young daughter at 21, and that has not held Abby back. She's a property investor. She's a rent to rent business owner, and she's now branched into buying her own property portfolio and building it up. And we're going to talk about all of that today. So, welcome to the podcast, Abby Oniru.
Hi everybody. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, it's amazing to have you on the show. I just came across you on Instagram. If you're not following Abby, what are you doing with your life? It's I'll put it on screen now if you're with us on Instagram, or if you're listening on the podcast, it's Abby Oniru on Instagram. So Abby, let's start at the beginning. Tell us about your story and how you got into rent to rent in the first place.
So when it comes to my story, how I got into rent to rent is essentially I honestly self-taught myself. So it was around 5 years ago. I kept on seeing on social media about service accommodation. And so when it came to service accommodation, I was thinking, oh, this looks cool. Let me jump into it. Didn't take no course at all. Instead, I literally started going to Gumtree and I just started to take calls to landlords. Didn't have no idea when it comes to pitching. But obviously, I tweaked certain things. Oh, this works, that works. And then I just started to network with people. And then I said to myself, do you know what? SA for me personally, it felt more of a risk at the time. So I said, if someone's happy for me to do that for service accommodation, why can't I do it as long term? Because I know that it's guaranteed passive income as their long term is more stable. And then from there, I just started to do that. And that's how I was able to build my money up in order to get my two houses at the age of 24.
Ah, I love it. You wrapped it up there with a bow. And when you say long term, do you mean HMO?
Yeah, HMO, yeah. So shared accommodation. So they say, for example, it's a 4 bed. First, I was at the time looking more in London, but then I said to myself, this is too expensive. And that's how I started to branch out up north. That's where the gold was. I was like, oh my gosh, this is how cheap it is. And then imagine I'm doing shared accommodation in those houses for long-term tenants, 6 to 12 months. I'm laughing. And that's how I was able to build at least 750 in profit plus a month per
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it can work in London as well because we have people who are making over £1,000 a month. But yeah,
London, yeah.
I think each to their own. So, do you do it long distance? Because a lot of people ask me about that, managing their properties long distance. So you're living in London and you've
Yeah.
got your HMO properties up north. So tell us
Yeah.
about that. How does that work?
So how does it work? Essentially, I'm the mastermind person behind everything, but I'm not physically there. So I have a system in place. So I have a team up there, and I also have a team as well abroad that helps me deal with everything. And at the same time, to be honest with you, we should be very grateful about being in this whole technology world,
Mhm.
21st century, because we have smart locks, master locks, and that's what I use my ability in order for people, for example, to maybe do viewings because they can literally self-check in like Airbnb, take a tour of the house, maybe be on FaceTime to me so then I can physically see what they're doing. And then yeah, it's literally as simple as that, to be honest with you. And also there are obviously platforms that I use to source these deals, whether they're estate agents or landlords. So I just use that all as one, and then I start sourcing deals and then getting them and securing them and negotiating.
Wow. That's great that you can do it all from a distance. Did it take you a while to build up to that, or did you just
Um,
decide and it
to
just
be
all?
honest, no, not gonna lie, it didn't really take me a while. Do you know what it was? At the time, I looked at so many different like I think I kept on looking at Americans because Americans are so go-getters. And so I just kept on looking at certain things and how they pitch and how they speak and just things like that. And then I just tweaked it into my own type of thing, if that makes sense. And so it's like I tend to look at people's stuff sometimes and things click in my brain like, oh. that makes sense. And then I start taking action myself and doing it. But it's not that these Americans were even in property. They could be selling a digital marketing course. But I loved how they pitched to it, the whole copywriting skill, just things like that. So for that helps me, for example, when I have a proposal to a landlord. But with me personally, I love to talk. So I tend to want to just speak to them on the phone. They connect with my personality, and from there we go off.
So let's go back to square one, because there's people going to be listening here and thinking, hang on a minute, but Abby, didn't you just have a baby? You were age 21. What are you doing out trying to get HMO properties? What's going on?
Yeah, no, my daughter, of course, like when I had my daughter, things did get delayed at the beginning because she was whole newborn. But I felt like when I had my daughter, that's when I started to see the world in a different paradigm. I promised myself that when I have my daughter, I can't be a 9 to 5 person where I don't have time for my daughter. I want to be able to take her to nursery. I want to be able to take her to school. I want her to know, oh, when I come back, mummy and daddy's here, rather than, because when I see in this day of age, I remember when I was younger, I wasn't even thinking about poverty at the time. When I was younger, I used to like, you're hearing the radio and then you're hearing like trains being jammed. And I'm thinking to myself, the world is like a circle. It's like a rat race for people. And so the fact that it's like a rat race for people, it's a thing where I said to myself, I cannot physically be in that situation. I cannot. And obviously, I wasn't planning to have my daughter at that time. I didn't even plan to have my daughter, but it happens with my long-term partner, of course. But what I'm trying to say is, when that happened, I said to myself, no way will I be that person on the train. No way will I be that person driving, trying to rush home, not be able to cook my daughter dinner. I just said that to myself. So from there, that's how my brain just changed, honestly. Like my paradigm changed. I saw the world in a whole nother view. And from there, I just started to take action no matter what. I don't want to use no excuses why I couldn't do this. Don't bother feel sorry for yourself. You just got to take action, because no one's going to help you but yourself. So you got to do it.
I love that. What you said there, my paradigm changed, and you just got to take action no matter what. I did not want to be one of those commuters. And it's exactly what Bronwyn Vernken came on the podcast, and she was talking about how she created this lifestyle where she's living all over the world. She was actually connecting in from Africa, and where she's not on safari, they're doing some volunteering work. But she just loves being out there, and she can work from anywhere in the world. And that's the freedom that this gives you. And she had her light bulb moment when she was standing on the platform, at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning, looking up and down the platform at people who are much older than her, thinking, OMG, I don't still want to be doing this in 10, 20, 30 years' time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had that paradigm shift and you got started, but how did you put it into action? Because a lot of people see that there's an opportunity and then they struggle to put it into action. So tell us how you got started to get your first property.
So how I started, to be honest, I went onto Gumtree, because if you literally go onto YouTube, all you hear is Gumtree, Gumtree, Gumtree. So I said, let me go onto Gumtree. And then when I went onto Gumtree, I just kept on seeing like repetitive steps of like estate agents or people posting out things about, get this opportunity of rent to rent. But I didn't know much at that time about actual rent to rent. All I knew was service accommodation. Yeah. So when I used to see all of these adverts, I'm thinking to myself, wow, who actually who does things like this? So I'm there looking, I'm reading all of these things, and I'm thinking, wow, so people actually do this. So what I decided to do is essentially, I decided to immediately just start taking calls. At first, I'm not gonna lie, yes, my heartbeat was like boom, 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 boom. I was scared. But I just said to myself, let me just start taking calls. I literally started to take calls. And then that's how I secured my first deal. And by the way, I had no portfolio at the time, of course. The woman, I believe, she just liked my personality. She saw I was confident. I knew what to do. Because sometimes people feel like they have to have some big, a degree or whatever it is to even get started. But no, you really do not. All you need to do is have confidence in this property world and just immediately start taking action and have thick skin, because there are landlords or estate agents who say no, but do not let that bother you at all. You just got to just immediately start taking action.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. You just got to have confidence. Easier said than done, Abby, but it sounds like you had that in bucket loads when you first started. You were out there, your paradigm was changed. You knew what you were doing. You just went for it and you put it on there, total confidence. So you got your first deal by talking to agents.
No, she was an actual
Oh,
landlord. She was
Gumtree, sorry,
yeah,
Gumtree,
yeah, yeah.
Gumtree. So you're on Gumtree. Now give us what's your tips on what to say on Gumtree?
To be honest, on Gumtree, I would say to just how can I say this? What I tend to say to them is, first of, is this property still available, as I'm very much interested. And from there, what I'll tend to do is immediately, once they respond, I see, okay, they're active. I will then take action and say to them, do I have a direct contact number that I can call you on? Because some of them didn't have a number, so you have to link, get their number. And then from there, I'll literally speak to them on the phone and start pitching to them, but not pitching in a way where it sounds robotic. Just more about them. How come their property is on the market? What are they looking for? And then that's how I'll lean into what I do and how I believe I can benefit them. And I do clearly state to them, I'm not an estate agent, as I do not take fees. Instead, I provide you the guaranteed rent. So I am paying you rather than you having to pay me. And they love that twist.
Instead of you having to pay me. So you've now gone on Gumtree. You've talked to the landlord via the messaging. You've talked to the landlord on the phone. They said yes. And then did it go then to a viewing? They were open
Yeah,
to move
yeah,
further
yeah.
and it went to the viewing. And take us from there. Uh
Okay, so
were you still were you like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is totally happening? Or were you like, oh my God, I'm totally freaked out?
yeah. No, no, no. I was excited. I was so excited. I thought anything could do in property. I was like, wow, I'm in it now. Let's go. So yeah, when it came to that, essentially, looked at the house, saw it was perfect. I said, yep, this is great. I made sure I did my due diligence, for example, on Zoopla to see the average cost in that area. Because you need to know, people tend to do this thing where they don't look at the average cost and they just think, oh yeah, I get to rent out this house. Don't make the mistake on doing that. Do your due diligence. Make sure there's a demand in that area and then take that step. And I did that beforehand, so I knew where I was looking, because people tend not to do that. But yeah, so once I did that afterwards, yeah, she was happy. She was like, I feel like she really loved my personality.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and she goes, yep, I feel confident in you. Let's go. I was like, okay. And then yeah, set up the contract and then signed.
That is the thing that people really struggle with, Abby. I'm sure people say the same to you. Why would
Yeah.
a landlord give a property to me? Why would they
Yeah.
walk past you like a letting agent and like
Yeah.
professionals and give it to you who's a not in inverted commas normal person? But sometimes it's because exactly what you just said, that trust is there. She actually she liked you. She really liked who you are. She just felt that trust with you, that relationship was built up, and then she gave the property over. Um, we've talked about getting the first deal. Now, another thing that people really do worry about, Abby, and I'd love to know what your experience was. Let's keep it on this first property at the moment.
Yeah.
What startup costs did you have there? Did you do a refurbishment, for example?
No, I didn't actually do a refurbishment at all with that one. It was already set, and that's what I tend to look for, the ones that are already set and going. That's why I even teach people. Like, obviously, as you grow, of course, you could get unfurnished and then maybe put furniture in. Other than that, I will never ever go and repaint the walls, break through walls, all of that stuff. Like, when people do that, I think to myself, why are you giving yourself headache for no reason? So what I did was, all I needed was the first month rent and deposit for that specific one. For this specific one, the first month rent, I believe it came to, I think it was like £800. And deposit, I actually negotiate lower due to the fact that I said to her, this is long term. So as it's long term, it makes more financial sense on my end to just put the deposit much more low. I think the deposit was like around 500. And she was fine with that because I did clarify to her the tenants you are going to be moving in, they will be long term, and I will make sure I actually have their deposit, because the whole point of a deposit is to keep their house safe at the end of the day. So when you clarify that to them, they're more understanding of your situation because you're essentially the middleman or middlewoman. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think with landlords direct, it's much more likely that you won't even need a deposit,
Yes.
especially if you are doing any sort of refurbishment. We found we've never had to pay a deposit yet to a landlord, but on the most part, we have been doing some sort of refurbishment. Sometimes it's very minimal, but we've usually done something to the
Mm.
property, but sometimes they've been quite extensive. And so I agree with you. It's good to negotiate. So what I would
Yeah.
love to, I can tell already, Abby, that you're going to have some great tips in this category, negotiation tips, because people maybe get the deal there in the conversation, but they find it tricksy to negotiate so that they get the deal at the right price and it works for them.
Yeah. So when it comes to negotiating, I would first state that first off, just do your research. What is the average cost in that area? Just do that first. And what I tend to do as well is once I know the average cost, I will now hard on this is my offer. I do three steps. So one is the lowest, then there's the second, then there's the third, the last result where you're saying that's all I'm basically gonna give. And so me doing that, I know my numbers. I've done my numbers before, so I know exactly what I'm gonna offer. And if they take it, they take it. If they don't, they don't. It just don't work out. But what I'll say is always negotiate for them, for example, to take the council tax on water, or the council tax on Wi-Fi. The reason why is because council tax is, could be high depending on the property, right? So I do say to them, let's meet halfway. You take this, I take that. That's it. And literally that's it. And so then when you say that, you are meeting them halfway. Because some people, they don't want to take the bills at all. But what I tend to do is at least I get them to take, especially the landlords, of course, at least I make sure they take the cancel tax. So then everything else, I can maybe get, for example, the tenant to split the cost on a prepayment meter when it comes to the gas and electric. So they have to deal with that. And the Wi-Fi, they can split that themselves. Simple things like that, it makes life easier for you because you know how much you're basically gonna earn at the end of this, and you know what your tenants have to pay, and you know what that landlord has to pay. And also what you do tend to do is just make sure, let them know this is long term. So if you're looking to have more and better properties coming up, they could trust you. They could trust you because of course they'll be so happy with your services at the end of the day, because I do make it clear to them that I know you've got so much other things better to do with your life. Of course you don't want to be hearing tenants. When you talk about tenants, sometimes tenants can be annoying, of course. So when you say these things to them, they're like and so that makes them feel like, yeah, I definitely need this girl 100%. And then yeah, that's how I close my deals with these landlords or estate agents.
Yeah, fabulous. I love the ideas. Do you find, Abby, that if you give the housemates the responsibility of splitting the electric, or are they all on individual tenancies, or is it on a single tenancy like
They're
students?
all individual because it's room rentals. So I make sure there's a prepayment meter in that house. So once electric cuts off, if I'm being generous, I'll say, oh yeah, I'm happy to put in £20 a month, but the remaining is for you guys to deal with. Because every little helps. Let's think about Tesco. Every little helps. So I
Yeah.
do things like that. So then they deal with that. Because I realize when you're taking the whole response, like first of all, I don't want a lot of direct debits coming out my account. Why would I do that? And at the end of the day, they're adults. Do you understand? They're
Are
actually
they? Because then when one moves out 1 month and then somebody else moves in and then somebody's been there for 3 months and somebody hasn't been there for the whole quarter, do
yeah.
they do you get messages saying, oh, so and so hasn't contributed to the
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I get messages like that, but what I tend to do is, but most time, really and truly, I don't. But I have sometimes like one-offs.
yeah.
But when they do that, I'll speak to the person and say, oh, blah 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 has reached out to me and stated that essentially you haven't put in the money that you was meant to put in. So please, can you do that? And then from there, they basically do it. I feel like when you speak to them, they're more likely to do it. But when it's a tenant, they're like, no, I'm not listening to you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's I love doing these interviews because it's so interesting hearing how everybody does their thing a little way different. And so with us, we always we pay the bills, and I kind of like it like that way because we know at the beginning exactly what we're paying. We've got it all on the spreadsheet. We know what our profit's going to be at the end of it. Everything's kosher, and we don't have any dealings with anybody about what's been paid or what hasn't been paid. But it's interesting to hear the different approaches, and it's different ways to roll. But now I want to talk about the money. Let's talk about money. So tell us about the cash flow. Can you remember? Oh, you might have even told us about the cash flow on the first one. Tell us a bit more.
Okay, so on the first one, I believe in profit, I was earning £750. Yeah, so I was earning £750 profit, which was perfect. So yeah, 750. But then I said to myself, if I could earn this, I could earn more because I have more, well, obviously more than one deal now. And so my highest deal, I believe I'm earning 1,500 in profit, which is wicked. And you guys can literally do that. And obviously, it's about me networking with people, speaking to people. People know what I'm doing, and getting them deals where it's so low. Because this specific deal that I'm making 1.5, it's the house is like 5 beds, HMO license, everything's done up to like 5-star standard. And I saw the amount of money I could earn from this. Like, you can see it. I feel it in my fingers. And so then what I did was I raised the prices with the rent, like what it should be, because that specific one, funny enough, there was a guy who I was liaising with, I think on Facebook, and he knew what I do. And he wanted me to have some of his deals. So this was the first one, and so yeah, he gave it to me. When I heard how much he's paying, I said, "What? Why do you want to give that away?" But it's because his pricing was low, and he had this, like, during COVID times, so he just wanted people to come in, right? But this is why there's an opportunity in front of you everywhere. So yeah, so I said to him, yeah, I'll definitely take it. I spoke to the landlord. We had a Zoom call. He loved me. He saw I was so confident what I do. And then yeah, I took it. Like, this 5 bed is up Liverpool. It's a 5 bed, and I'm going for £1,000. But per room, I could make it 500 literally per easily. So I said to myself, yeah, that's where the money is. I'm gonna get that one. But yeah, so what I'm just trying to say is there's an opportunity everywhere. And this is why it's important to network with people. Because when you network with people, they know exactly what you do. There could be someone, they go saying, oh, this is what I do. And they have a whole bunch of properties, maybe in Midlands or wherever it is. So don't hesitate to not talk to people, and just talk to people. If you're that person where you just keep to yourself, don't do that. You could be the smartest person on earth, but no one knows because you keep to yourself. And that's why I even came on social media, because I said to myself, what I'm doing, I could definitely teach people this, because you could become financial free, like what, either through property, forex, or everything that you do, or trading. But for me personally, it was property that helped me become what I do. And yeah.
I love it. So, oh dear, I was just. Do you know when two ideas come to you at the same
Yeah,
time, and
yeah,
now
yeah.
one rabbit's gone over there, one rabbit's gone over there, and I can't even remember what I was going to say, but it'll come back to me. Oh yes, was this another rent to rent person? So there was
Yeah,
somebody who was doing a rent to rent on this property in Liverpool. They messaged you on the
yeah.
Facebook, and then you said, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in. And then you spoke to the landlord and took it over. Is that how it was going down?
Literally. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just goes to show you the difference, because some people just think, oh, I'll just sort of do it and work it out, and
Mm,
then they're doing it, but they're losing money
mm,
basically. And then somebody who knows what they're doing comes in and can
mm,
make that property really work. And that is what I'm always saying to people, because people ask the question as well, well, how can I make it work if this other person wasn't making it work? Well,
mm.
you know how to make it work. And that's the thing. And you've got your system that you work to, and we also have our rent to rent success system, which is a way of doing things that guarantees your success.
Exactly.
Um, but Abby, I would just like to talk about, you've been super successful. You started off at a young age with your baby. I'm so impressed, let me tell you, taking my hat off. And um, and I met you recently because we're both, you're in Property Insiders,
Yeah.
the event with Property by Kazi, giving your story and your details on your property. That I suppose it's more of the portfolio that you're buying, and maybe some of your rent to rent portfolio. So I would love to know more from you about your secrets to success, Abby.
So, my secret to success is, first off, point one, change your paradigm, change your mindset. Your mindset is so powerful. People don't realize. As soon as you turn that switch on, everyone has that gift. Just turn that switch on. But you obviously need to be around those people as well to get yourself in that type of community. Or if you're not even in that community, find it. There's Facebook groups. There's, Facebook is so powerful as well because there's so much groups there. You can find whatever you want on Facebook. So once you do that, you can start networking with people that are like-minded like yourself. That's one, change your paradigm. Number two, start taking action. Don't let no one tell you you can't
Mm.
do it. Don't let no Listen, on social media, it's good and bad. What I mean is, there are negative people on social media that just say nonsense out their bums. And then there's people on social media as well that, they really want to learn. They're saying so much knowledge. You're thinking, what? It's school. But this is why you need to make sure you follow the right pages on social media, because if you want to get learn and educate yourself all the time, follow those things. Don't be following those meme pages that is just showing you gossip that's not going to benefit your life. Like, this is not EastEnders. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. And then point three is, I believe what you should do is, honestly, I don't know how to say this. Not even just take action, because of course take action, but just once again, just start doing it. To be honest with you, just start doing it. If you have an idea, do it. If it fails, it fails. If it doesn't, you're laughing. Rather than procrastinate. Yeah, that's it. Never ever procrastinate, because people tend to procrastinate too much, and you can't procrastinate. Let procrastination just come out of that brain, because every second you procrastinate, you're delaying your future of success in life. Yeah.
I love that. I just love the energy you bring to this. It's been such a pleasure talking to you today. But your three secrets to success, I was taking notes there, was one, change your paradigm. I love that, because when you had your daughter, your paradigm changed. You did not want to be a commuter. You wanted to be with your daughter. You wanted to be with your family. You wanted to live your life intentionally. Change your paradigm. Number two, you said start taking action. And everywhere through this story, I've said to you, well, weren't you hesitant? Weren't you nervous? Weren't you worried? And you were like, no, I was like, let's go, let's go. And you were taking action. And that means you've got to embrace making mistakes and taking action and learning and continuing. And the third one you said is associated with that, the other flip side, stop procrastinating. That's a very human thing to do, and I think we all do it in certain areas of our life. But when it comes to things like getting started in property, so many people want to do it. And I really encourage you, if you're listening and you really want to get started, we do have our Rent to Rent Success free guide and masterclass. You can get it at renttoRentSuccess.guide. And I know, Abby, that you also help people how to get started with Rent to Rent. So tell us, what's the best way for people to get started with you, to learn from you?
So I offer well, I have different services. I have one which is my one-to-ones, where with my one-to-ones, you'll get access to my Property for Beginners Mastermind, which shows you literally everything you need to know about property, rent to rent, buy to let, how to negotiate with getting a no money down. So everything you need is there. And with that, it comes my direct number, but only on WhatsApp, that they could contact me Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Also, they have 4 one-to-one sessions with me directly as well, due to purchasing that. And then I have an angel investor service. Well, I have a whole bunch of services. And I have an angel investor service. And that's for people who want passive income, like physically, they're not doing nothing at all. So they have to pay me 5K, and then coming out of it, they will get 9K. Profit wise, it's 4K, but mine is the first month rent due to me having to get the people in total 3,750. You will never get that in the bank for 3 years. So why not use it for that? And yeah, I know I'm missing other services. My head's gone blank, but yeah, I do that, and I actually have a new service actually, and me actually sourcing deals for you. Some people really want to get into property. They've got the knowledge. Now they just don't know how to get a deal. So that's my holding hand. I'm gonna get you a deal, but then you're taking it.
And where do you source? Is it London? Is it Liverpool? Where is it?
Literally, they get to tell me where they want me to source, and then I'll just source where it's best for them.
That's amazing. And is there anything, Abby, that I haven't asked you today that you just want to share with people, or an inspiring message just as we wrap things up?
Well, my message today is make sure whatever it is you want to do in life, just do it once again. I will keep on drilling that into people's heads, because I know there's some students that I know, they'll be like, oh, I gave up. Why? Because the landlord said no to me 3 times. I said, come on. Like, I'm thinking, what? Don't let someone who's got a negative energy put a halt on your blessings in life. That rent to rent is so lucrative. You could do so much. You could be gaining income where the house isn't yours at all. So now it's time to take action. If you want to do it, do it. Don't say, oh, yeah, I'm going to wait till next week. No, start today or don't start at all. That's the type of mentality you need to have, rather than procrastinate. But yeah,
I
that's my.
love it. I love it. I love it. It's been such a thrill having you on. You bring the energy, you bring the vibe, you bring the richness to the show today. And I just want to wrap things up by saying to you, thank you also for watching and for listening. And if you want to blow your life up and you're a woman over 40, go to blowyourlifeup.com. I got a new thing going on over there, and you'll be able to book and ignite your spark free call with me. So that is it. Thank you again, Abby, for bringing the fire today. And
Amazing.
you guys, until next week, have a great rest of the week. And until then, believe bigger, be bolder, be a game changer. See you soon, guys. Bye for now.
Bye.